Well, it's March the 20th, first day of spring on the Provo River. Actually, it's the middle Provo. There go some geese. We're not too far above Deer Creek Reservoir. See young fellows there on a kind of a little island there. They've made a sneak there and they're casting down into a seam. Dan is just in front of me here. I was concentrating on, there. Then our friend Mark has got a trout on here now. He's cast up into that seam. He's got a trout on that's fighting him. It's a really strong fish. He's got a very light leader and a tiny fly, and so that's landing this fish took a while. I usually shorten these up, but in this particular case, I'm going to let it go the whole length. But I'll talk to you while they attempt to land this fish in a difficult situation, and I'll comment on that after. But I want to give you a little bit of a report on what's going on. It's the first day of spring, and the water temperature where we are right here is about 48 degrees. It'd be a little bit different in other parts of the Provo, but basically you're talking about the late winter, very early spring pattern. The midges are still hatching, but not so many. And we're just about ready for the blue-wing olives. So that's what you want to look forward to, is the blue-wing olive hatch. This next week may be the start of it. It's going to be warmer this next week. It's cool here this weekend when I'm making this video report. There were quite a few midges hatching, little tiny midges, and then there were a few of the bigger ones, what we call the buffalo midge. And the fish were selective on the buffalo midge, and also occasionally they were taking the midge clusters, the little ones, and clustered out. And so now on the below Deer Creek, the river down there is running a nice level, and basically the same as up here. Some midges and the blue-wing olives are getting ready to start. And this is of course I'm going to stick my neck out here and say that we've got a high water year, and all things considered, we should be looking at probably a pretty significant runoff, and that being the case, and our reservoirs don't have a lot of space left, which is good, but this means we're probably going to get a pretty good runoff. They control below the power dams, and tailwaters. They control it, and I can't really predict that. In natural stream, I could predict, but I think we're going to have a high water, a big runoff here. So why do I say that? I'm saying get out there and fish now while the water's low, because it may not be too long until they have to start bringing it up. Ordinary year, they don't bring it up until we need the irrigation in the valleys. But I mean, this may be a situation of reservoir capacity. Anyway, the blue-wing olives I think are getting ready now. If the hatch is in the middle of the day, that's not unusual. It's almost like the winter time. Middle of the day, 12 to 3. Now we did catch some later in the day. This was later in the day, but the best is the middle of the day. And you can figure on that. The best day, of course, for the blue-wing olives, almost always, that's when you get clouds and rain or even snow. And when it's miserable out there for you, for some reason, the blue-wings like that. I think it's the more of them hatch, and also it's hard for them to get off the water. And so the trout, they have a wonderful time working on them because it's easy. Today, the best fly that Mark had was a very slim blue-wing olive emerger. I'll show you a picture of it at the end and kind of explain it, but that's what he was using. And this is fairly fast water and seeing where he was, and you would think a bigger fly would have been better or something. Now we could have bounce rigged or something, or Euro nipped this area with probably a sow bug and for the main fly, or rather the point fly or the heavy fly, probably just for weight if you were using a Euro nipping rig. But the primary fly I think would have been a sow bug, the sow bug pattern. Oh, maybe a midge, but Dan and Mike had a hard time with this fish. It's not a really big fish. It's a nice brown trout, but Mark had a very thin leader and a very light tippage, you know, and it's a very small fly. And he's been losing them below him, and I reckon I hollered out to him and told him to swing it below and around, but they said that he was afraid he'd lose it, and he probably would have. Dan waited out there. He didn't have his waiting staff, and so that was a difficult situation. Of course, in this situation, it would have been good to have a long-handled net, but Dan and I use smaller nets. We don't like to carry those big ones around. The big net would have been an advantage there. I'm going to do another video in the near future to explain how this situation could have been handled a little bit easier. And there's a way to do it where you use the current and your rod position so to your advantage. But I could try to explain it here, but it wouldn't make much sense. I need to do a regular video on that, so you can look forward to that in the next week or two. I'll try to do one, and I can show you how to make the current and the fish work together in your favor. Believe it or not, that's what I think. Anyway, well, eventually they're going to get this fish. Dan was really glad to get it and not fall down. There it is. It's no monster. You know, why did it take so long? Well, it didn't. Just want to rip the lip, you know. Didn't want to lose it. Going to release it. That's a noble fish. I'm glad to put him back. He's a real fighter. I hope he great.
Mark caught that one on a CDC blue wing olive pattern. We've got a tremendous midge hatch going on, and I've been fishing with a dark shuck and not doing as well. So I think I'm going to switch to a blue wing olive pattern.
Yeah, we also fished the midge cluster.
Yeah,
with no luck.
Some people have been doing really well on the midge clusters. We've been seeing clusters of midge, you know, like a Griffith's gnat or something. We've been seeing lots of clusters floating down and watching fish taking them, but we haven't found the right bug for that yet. But we will.
That took a while to land that fish, didn't it?
Yeah, he got me out in the current. I didn't want him to get below because I'd lost one earlier in the day down below. So I was trying to hold him, but it made it difficult to get him in the net.
It probably like comedy routine out there. So the water's so fast it's about to knock me down.
Well, this is the fly. Mark wanted me to show this to you. Very simple fly. It's an emerger. It's got a CDC wing there. Simple green body. You can't really see it, but it has two clear microfibrils for a tail. Tied by a man named Casey Thompson. He's on Instagram, TwitchTide801. So if you want to look it up, he ties some beautiful flies. This is quite simple compared to the ones he ties, and so it's about a size 20, I think.